Yes, North American LCS fans, the format has changed this year. 3 bans per side, just like normal, and it's going to be 3 picks per side, and then 2 more bans, and then 2 more picks. The order will be highlighted on your screen. We'll cover that as time goes on. But first off, the Rengar and LeBlanc bans, no surprise.
Yes, so this is along that tier. Camille is also in this tier that we do expect to be banned out. Usually it is on the red side to ban that out because blue side does have first pick. And I think that Camille, not only is she such a strong champion all around, but doesn't even really have anything you can pick into her that's necessary for a blue side to ban out in order to pick her. So they're pretty free to go after target bans from then on, and the Olaf actually finds himself, so maybe a little bit of mixed impact and Contractz crossover there.
Yeah, so yep, the S tier champion's pretty much gone away. We know Maokai is high priority, Ashe would be as well, but it's also time for these teams to kind of set up what the pinched roles might be. You see TSM have sent themselves a single ban onto the Olaf. They've got to choose again. Janna, actually, I am surprised at as a ban. I have not really seen her much in competitive right now.
Yeah, there may be some concern here on the bottom lane. We'll see how this does develop, but Cloud9, historically has been very willing to play things like the Ashe Zyra combo and jump right on that. We'll see how it does round out. Interesting flex here with the Lee Sin ban, as it he is definitely really high up there, but a lot of it is also because Svenskeren, this man dazzled people at Worlds on the champion.
He's very good at it. So this means if we go by the tier list definition, the next junglers up, I believe, are Kha'Zix and Rek'Sai. As far as top lane goes,
Elise is also, I believe, right in
she's
there.
up there, yeah. So we'll see across those 3. Maokai, of course, a very high priority top laner. Ashe, I think, is going to be no surprise in the bot lane marksman role as well. So no sneaky zigs this game. I know several bot lane players have been practicing that mage to see if it gets pulled out. We've seen it a few times in pro play. We'll see what's next.
Interesting. There actually hasn't been much attention paid to the mid lane here. Neither one wants to go first. For me, there's this interesting trio with Ryze, Cassiopeia, and Orianna, where Ryze is super strong, but I feel like Cassiopeia is great into him right now, even after reworks. But then you don't want to pick Cassiopeia early because Orianna is good into her, and neither of them are jumping early, even though both these guys are very strong mid lane players. Katarina is still an option as well, so
absolutely.
Getting a counter pick Katarina might be an exciting possibility. There we go, though. I believe that's locked in there. Kha'Zix for Contractz.
And you mentioned the Ryze being high priority, going to be hovered by Svenskeren, and that actually is going to switch to a Syndra. And as time ticks down, looks like that's going to be the champion they play for after all. So Syndra in the mid lane for Bjergsen, going to be the blind pick here. And they've got to pick one more champion. And we know actually now the roles will not match up 1-to-1. There's already been 4 roles selected so far, so we'll see disjointed bans in phase 2.
Getting super excited already because we aren't following that script, and the second ban phase will be super interesting to see if we're going to nab a mid laner here.
Rek'Sai locked.
I think they might need to nab a mid laner. Your counter pick for Maokai can wait. Because there's so many, things that you're going to run up against him, but there's not like a hard counter to Maokai. Maokai is so good because scales well, always an amazing tank, super great frontliner. So I think that they feel fine, and Cloud9 would rather go for a mid lane before getting 2 more rounds of bans at it.
Other thought I have, so there's 2 things. Cloud9 needs a tank. Oh, it's going to be Fizz. Fizz, the mid lane matchup, going to be picked into. Now, it could be top, but I did not expect that.
Yeah, it's definitely flexible, but this is going to be super exciting. A Kha'Zix Fizz mid lane jungle, so risky. Double assassins here. Cloud9 are going to have to be on their early game because if you get behind with that combo, you are in big trouble. There is no wave clear here. Fizz could very easily get pushed under turret, get abused early on. The pressure, though, does come from Fizz getting early kills, right? If you have jungle pressure, if you have vision control around mid lane, and you can put pressure on that Syndra, and she can't go so aggressively. Theoretically, extra range advantage and the spam and harass can take its toll, but Fizz has so much threat for that kill because he can snowball off of it.
It's a high-risk, high-reward pickup. I want to note that Cloud9 does not have any tanks right now in the lineup, and you're looking at the bans for TSM. Nautilus the first, Poppy the second would not surprise me to say Impact. You've got to play Singed or something if you want to play a beefy frontliner. There's the Poppy, so Impact, there are still tanks to play. There's other things in the role, or maybe a tank support for Smoothie.
And quickly, I want to touch on, this is what happens when you have desynced picks in the first phase. The bans are also desynced here. Because Cloud9 had the only AD carry pick, you see the follow-up of Varus and Jhin. So they take the next two right off the table. I would expect an Ezreal for WildTurtle would be my theory-crafted pick for him. We'll wait until TSM gets their turn for that, though. Here now, we get back to that Maokai point where, like, he's always going to do Maokai things, and you're just going to have something up there that's not necessarily going to counter him, but just trade with him. They will have Shen ultimate to try and make plays combined with Ashe Arrow. There's a lot of global potential here locked in for Cloud9. And meanwhile, we get back to TSM's side. Yeah. See their first shot at the support.
Plenty of time to go for this pick right now. WildTurtle hovering Zyra. Now, we know that Misfortune has become the go-to counter pick to Zyra. Not so much that you won't play Zyra with MF available, but you can see Smoothie leaving his pick for last to make sure that counter pick is an option, and Zyra gets locked.
Or the Lulu, which we did just see in Europe. You know, because of the auto kills on those. Oh, well, not necessarily.
You almost one-shot plants. I'm not sure if you exactly do. I'd have to play it myself.
But it does help a little bit.
Pix does damage to the plants.
Kalista hover for Turtle. He's had highlight plays on Kalista, Phreak.
He has. Some of this has worked out for him. He's gone back and forth, and he's locked it in. Kalista in the very first game of the North American LCS. Double marksman down in the bot lane. Kalista, the buffs were enough in Turtle's mind, and he brings the champion out.
I love when we have divergent, styles here emerging in pick ban, because TSM are very clearly going front to back here. They've got a great frontliner, team fighting. Kalista's going to get in the middle with all the zones created from Maokai, Syndra, and Zyra. Meanwhile, Cloud9, this Ashe Arrow and Shen stand united are going to have to be big. MF is picked up. That's that classic counter to Zyra that emerged last year at Worlds with the Rocks Tigers using it. We'll see if it does, become a thing, because as you transition out of the lane phase, definitely drops off and doesn't provide quite as much.
And some of the lane phase strengths are one-shot the Zyra. Well, guess what? WildTurtle has a get-out-of-jail-free card for his support. By picking Kalista, expecting the Ashe MF lane, Biofrost can face tank an arrow and get thrown back out.
Turtle cannot face tank an arrow, though.
No, he can't. He's got to dodge them.
There's nothing for him, because, yes, that double ultimate spike you're talking about in the bottom lane is crucial. Remember as well, we're going to have to keep in mind the Shen stand united. There are two assassins for him to play off, or the bottom lane. So there's a lot of options, and that first stand united will be very important for impact, because the cooldown at level 1 is still very long.
200 seconds.
Yeah, they didn't reduce that as one of the buffs to get him back in the game. What they buffed to get him back in here was a little bit of armor and health, just some stats buff for the top lane, and that first ultimate cooldown is still going to be quite long.
All right, well, we'll see what happens here. You get the lineup up on your screen. The very first game of the North American LCS is about to begin. Defending champions TSM, 4-time North American split champions. Cloud9 have won 2 themselves, but for the last, I think, several playoffs in a row, maybe 4 playoffs in a row, TSM have taken out Cloud9 in a best of, and C9 maybe gets a chance to start the revenge story early as the 2017 spring split begins.
Yes, sir. There's been a lot of hype, coming from scrims from all the teams about both of these two.
Here we go. Game 1 of the 2017 North American LCS begins. TSM chance, but the first thing you hear if you load this VOD up and start the game out, Hauntzer and the rest of TSM.
In there.
DS9, a great Star Trek. Underrated.
Right. As they fan out, though, I'm so excited for this mid lane. Not only is it the classic matchup of the North American Danish players, Jensen and Bjergsen, but he's taking that assassin into the Syndra, looking for the kill pressure. To me, as a jungler, you immediately look to that lane for the early presence, right? This top lane is fully ignorable. Shen, Maokai, leave them up there to do their own thing, because even if you go up there, it takes a while to kill the tank, and the other jungler can make some big plays while you're spending your time there. But Rek'Sai does have some small advantage in that early vision war with the passive. We'll get those pings and can try and use that to help get extra vision for Bjergsen around the mid lane. Bjergsen has taken that exhaust, by the way, to defend against the all-in.
Yep. It's worth noting, by the way, you see where Biofrost is standing in the lane. He's actually making sure he gets plants into the lane when it starts. Junglers, I really recommend you start topside to let your dual lanes have things like this, where Biofrost, just by making sure he's standing here, gets a lot of lane advantage.
Yeah, we've seen how important it is to line up those seeds for the early harass.
Woo!
Sneaky getting down. All right, both junglers are going to start on the top side too, by the way, because bottom lane right now, so important to get early control of the lane. We'll see them battle towards that level 2. Kalista and Zyra have a lot of pressure. Kalista's so good at chasing you down. Biofrost adds the extra threat and damage here. But we'll talk about, again, that MF support and how it counters with Zyra. You know, the plant killing, definitely true with her love taps, as well as the extra move speed to be able to dodge.
And C9 tried to put a Trinket Ward into the brush and actually got picked off there by Turtle and Biofrost. Quick reflexes to see it happen. And this means it's going to be harder for Cloud9 to control part of his lane. And actually will mean a lot as time goes on. Good poke on a Biofrost, but we'll see how this lane actually plays out.
Yeah, one of the most important resources to track in that bottom lane while they're trading there is the health potion count for both supports, because a lot of the harass will be for the supports, as the ADs are on the front line right now and trading health pretty liberally. As we said, though, junglers can have very big influence in the early game. Contractz has gone red to blue, right into Gromp. Going to go for the level 3, and we'll see if he chooses to fight over the scuttle. He's actually dropped off that ward. You see the ward in the river? That was to scout an early scuttle crab from Rek'Sai. So he wanted to go get his Gromp while still having vision of the typical Rek'Sai move for the scuttle crab. Has worked out, and he sees him take it, but he's already on Wolf, so the oohs and ahs, won't be any conflict, but he knows that that was taken, and Sven is on the bottom side.
Yeah.
So some intelligence there to Contractz, and they've been alerted to Sven's early movements.
Yep, and you saw the missing ping down there like, hey, people went around this way. I saw Sven go towards the Drake. He probably jumped over the wall. And they can expect he's bot side jungle this time.
And look at Contractz. He immediately goes over to the mid lane as they saw Sven in the bottom river. He's not sure if Sven would try and gank mid lane from the river or if he would wrap around. Here goes the aggressive move, though.
Slow and nice knockback by Bjergsen gets Contractz out of range. Gonna flash to chase anyway. That'll be a trade of summoner spells. I think if Bjerg didn't land that E, he could have died for that one, but gets away with both summoners down.
Most definitely. And that is the gank that you're expecting there in a Fizz lane. Does get control and is going to push the lane in. Bjergsen survives with both summoners lone. Remember that Jensen did not use his. Contractz, as the jungler, this is something that you guys do need to remember. Always trade 1-for-1 flashes with the enemy mid laner, because if your mid laner keeps his, so much extra threat there. And Kha'Zix also has a jump of his own, so it's even more important. Svenskeren could go for a repeat here, though. We talked about bottom river ganks.
There's the stun. Jensen has his E, jumps in, and actually fails to dodge the knock because he can't do it. Sven queues it up. A lot of damage on Jensen. He just needs to be back to lane.
You should never, as the Fizz, be able to escape that without getting knocked up using your E. Or you should, if you're going to use your E, that would be the only way, because you would have to jump over him. Rek'Sai, all he has to do is attack move. You'll immediately knock him up if they try and Q through you.
Yeah.
But he did go for the Q. Didn't lose that much health for it, and still is going to be able to get all this CS. So very high action in the mid lane as expected. Both junglers making their presence felt, but all important summoners were blown from the Contractz gank, not from the Sven gank.
All right, and we see the payoff now as Bjergsen does get to walk back in just to refill a potion, so not a ton of sustain, but 250 health worth. The Null Magic Mantle will make his life a little bit easier as well. Of course, you should definitely buy MR up against Fizz. Smart choice for that. Contractz level 5. Not as fast as Svenskeren was, though. Slightly faster here, the TSM jungler. But otherwise, a fairly equal trade. Cloud9 overall, though, you can see up 400 gold as a team. You're seeing small minion leads on pretty much every lane, and specifically top lane up 8.
Yep, doing quite well. Their impact is. There are a few more minions for Hauntzer to pick up, but it's only 4 and won't completely equalize, so there is that small advantage for impact, and he's using his teleport here because he's about to get level 6. Won't really need that for a cross-map play, and just wants to get back there to push this lane into the turret against Hauntzer so that he doesn't get keep them there right in front. There it is.
He's going to try to freeze as much as he can. It won't freeze forever. It's guaranteed to push back towards C9 right now, towards Impact.
And remember, his Shen ultimate doesn't have to be used bottom lane. 2 assassins on the Cloud9 squad. It really provides so much early game threat. If you have these double assassins plus a defense of a Shen ult, Sven does show here because he got baited in, thought that Jensen was going to complete that aggressive move, But Jensen, they actually get vision of Biofrost moving up the river, and I think that's why Jensen backed off. So seeing just the Zyra enables him to dodge a gank from Rek'Sai as well, and Contractz moves in to complete the Scuttle Crab kill.
The mid lane roam didn't quite pay off too much for here, just Biofrost losing a bit of time, but it's okay because Turtle was backing anyway. The trade in the top lane. You're seeing, by the way, a lot of these top laners are going Grasp of the Undying, the ones who think they can outfight the opponents. Hauntzer, I believe, is still going Courage of the Colossus, but I've seen several top laners in practice have gone for Grasp of the Undying for more laning power. And you're seeing right there, Impact is getting ahead of Hauntzer in some cases.
Meanwhile, in the mid lane, these ganks have definitely taken their toll on Bjergsen. He has to respect the Fizz all-in so much. So Jensen just over and over going for those trades, get some more harass down on him now. The exhaust for Bjergsen is back up. He does have that. If it's just a 1v1 all-in, he should be able to survive. But again, junglers are really hovering around this mid lane.
You know, it's a volatile match. We know on either side, these champions can be one-shot. Bjergsen still missing flash for the next roughly 1 minute, 60 seconds exactly on my client here. And Contract's gonna walk in, sees Bjerg, goes, I don't know if I want to 1v2 that. We know Sven's around.
Yeah, now you're what you're trying to get out of it is zone them, make him walk the long way so he can maybe miss a minion. He did zone. Nope.
Literally nothing lost.
Bjerg got him. Well played there from Bjergsen. Gets most of the CS here. I think he missed 1, 2 on the turret. That's about it. Gets most of the money in. It's still extremely close here.
Now Contract's going into the jungle, looking for a little bit of tracking out of Svenskeren. Nothing found just yet. I think Sven can see him via Tremor Sense. Contractz sitting still. There's the ulti onto WildTurtle. They aim for him, and he's got to burn Summoner Heal to get out.
As we talked about, yes, the support can take the arrow, but Turtle cannot, and that arrow does land. Huge amount of harass. They weren't even really 100% going for a kill there. They did get the heal Summoner spell out and zoned a bunch of minions, so aggressive move there from Cloud9. As soon as they hit 6, go for that ult combo, and it was able to land. This means all pressure in the jungle for TSM is lost. Contractz moves in. They get the red steal. And the other thing about Kha'Zix here, upgrading that Q, that was his first evolution. You can easily take isolated objectives like the buffs and even the dragon. Now, the Drake is going to do a lot of damage to Kha'Zix still, but he could theoretically solo it if he wanted to use that time. It's better to use it actually to farm your jungle though and get that experience unless there's nothing left around. And he is going to do that instead. Meanwhile, blue buff for Bjergsen is enabling him to push the lane.
Definitely is. We'll see if this blue goes over to Jensen soon enough, but right now, I'm not going to find it. Bjerg looked like he's going to go to ward, but he's just going to recall, line up the Negatron cloak to be a bit more durable, and he'll recall back into lane.
All right, it will be another trade over here. Now, like we were talking about before with the Shen, very, very high priority on this first ultimate. It doesn't look like Cloud9 are looking to force with the first Shen ultimate though, because it is fairly risky. He is getting kind of pushed in right now. Hauntzer does have some AoE clear, and he's trying to push in impact. So the Shen ultimate not being used too liberally. It's definitely still there for a defensive play, but the Ashe arrow coming back up might change those things. Bottom lane, they did get that heal out, and things are building. It might actually result in some action around this Drake.
Yeah, they're trying to get their wards up. TSM with a couple of good defensive control wards and the 2 choke points for that bottom jungle. One by mid, one by bot lane. So we know Cena has no vision down there. Really, it's just kind of dark and unsafe for both sides to go for Drake right now.
Yeah, if I'm Cloud9, I'm looking to kind of abuse the map right now when the map is split up. There's the arrow.
Again, it hits Turtle. Biofrost jukes away from it. Flash on a WildTurtle. Knockup comes through. Not a lot of meaningful damage onto C9, but that is TSM losing another Summoner spell down there.
Yeah, accurate shooting here from Sneaky. As soon as it's back up, boom, another Ashe arrow, another ult from Smoothie to layer on, get the damage, and another Summoner blown. This is going to draw some extra fellows down here. Going to clear out this pink control ward.
Yep.
Instead,
haha.
Bjergsen is actually not going to go out to lane because he knows there's a lot of damage potential in that duo. Not going to overextend and plays it very safe. Cloud9 tiptoeing around this. They have a slight edge in pressure, but they don't want to pull the trigger and overdive. If you overdive versus a team fighting comp like this and you throw away your early game, it's going to be very bad news for Cloud9. So they have to be cautious, even though they know they do have the opportunity to try and make strong cross-map plays.
Sure. And it's worth noting that even though this
good shot there
CS
from Turtle.
numbers might lie to you facing a Zyra because you can kill him for free, but if you look at gold, Sneaky's actually up 300 over Turtle, and Smoothie's up 100 over Biofrost. So the gold, and look at that, Contractz! He's gonna get a first blood assist to Smoothie, gets the assassination.
Patience pays off for Cloud9 there, and the bottom lane, their hard work pays off for the jungler, baby. Contractz moves in, gets the first blood, and he's also gonna get some shared gold on the first turret. This feels so good for a Kha'Zix. This early game is already a time where he's going to shine. He's got the Q evolution. He can quickly take care of this Drake. Oh, mid lane arrow.
Gonna try to help Jensen.
Yeah, you know, throw one out there. Jensen's still going for it.
Little mini shark, but now the E is gone. Shen to come help out on this one. Jensen taking a lot of damage, but there comes everybody else. Cloud Drake picked up. Sven has to flash away from Smoothie joining this one. And now Bjergsen is running for dear life. Impact gonna land the taunt. There's the rest of the damage. 2-0 to Cloud9 to start out the game.
And they're not done yet. Hauntzer!
In the mix he goes. Smoothie goes down 2-1. Finally gets an equalizing kill. Good job by TSM's top half of the map. Turns it a bit around. Still, all said and done, C9 with the lead.
Yeah, that was a good answer kill there from Hauntzer, though, because TSM, like we said, they do have a very solid teamfight comp for later in the game. And, you know, getting some counter kills here to keep them kind of in it for the early game, definitely what they need. Here we go. We do see that Shen ultimate that we were waiting on. They wait till they really needed to use it in the mid lane there as Jensen got exhausted and he was in a 2v1. Impact, though, right on top of things. Does save him with the Shen ultimate, follows up with a kill there with the flash. And luckily for TSM, Hauntzer not far behind. He is able to answer. And yeah, Cloud9 do have their lead. That being said, definitely not out of the deep waters yet here for TSM.
2,000 gold difference, certainly a nice one for Cloud9. Not insurmountable by any means. And we'll see, though, that volatile mid lane matchup has started to push a little bit toward Jensen. The Assassins can certainly pay off. We know that Hauntzer can pin them down on that Maokai, that the damage can be there. We just have to see it play out.
All right, now as we're transitioning to that mid stage of the game, you want to see Cloud9 keep the map spread out if you're looking at from their perspective, because they don't want to end up in one of those fights where they're moving front to back in a team fight, trying to get through a Maokai and get through this Rek'Sai. So they want to keep the map spread out. They still have 2 teleports that they would want to use and, you know, an overload one side, make use of the assassin playstyle that they have. Meanwhile, TSM want to do the exact opposite, right? They just want to defend their turrets and they want to hold on till the mid game where they can get these 5-on-5 fights around things like Dragon.
Exactly. You see it in the types of champions that are being played. Kalista has to be by a teammate and a bit of damage, he's fine. But yeah, right, you know Shen and Fizz are happy to split push in a side lane. It means C9 have sent their duo Sneaky through the end of the mid lane. Jensen here to wreak havoc in the side of the map. Battle, yeah, not gonna beat that with Smite, certainly. But they're just, yeah, splitting up the map, looking for Stand United, looking for assassinations, looking for an opening that Contractz can find an isolated opponent.
All right, convergence here in mid lane. Cloud9, they do exactly that. They go 1-3-1, they split up the map. They've got their AD carry and AD carry in mid lane. And they're going to try and pressure this turret. Meanwhile, move down bottom through a bunch of wards for TSM. So Jensen right now is backing off because they have so many early wards. And Bjergsen is all on his own here, doing well defending this turret. He dodges the arrow. He still gets all the CS as well. Pretty good one-man defense there from Bjergsen, while the rest of the team went for that attempted pick on the bottom lane Fizz.
Absolutely. It's always scary. It's nerve-wracking for your TSM because it's only a matter of time until they do finally land that arrow. They find the angle that Bjergsen didn't think of, and as soon as that happens, he's instantly dead. He won't be able to survive the damage. And it's a losing proposition if TSM can't find their way to get into this map. Jensen grabs an easy blue buff and walks back to his lane.
All right, TSM's way in here, I think looks like they're hoping for a very good, you know, counterplay, right? Hauntzer's going to have his teleport up soonish, and if they're defending at a turret, you know, trying to turn one of those fights around at a turret, if they are able to win one of those, they can then, you know, use their 5-on-5 power to get that advantage right back.
We'll see what happens. We know the team fights can be explosive, and waiting still until WildTurtle can finish the Hurricane. Interestingly enough, actually, BF Sword in the Hurricane, not the Ruin King build that I'd seen more typically of Kalista's. So it's a bit new for me, or a bit old school, depending on how you think of it. WildTurtle's still going to wait until he can complete that item. Current gold says he's pretty far away, actually. About 1,000 to go until he can finish Hurricane. So his team fight power not going to be strong for a while. Bjergsen pushed to C9 side of the map.
Yeah, Bjergsen is playing a good game right now. He's dodging everything, but it's a risky game, right? Yeah. If, as you said, that Ashe arrow lands, it's back up right now, and the opportunity is definitely there. Here's a good move from from TSM. Look at this rotation top. They're bringing everybody up. They're going to try and even up the turret score here and get that gold back.
Yeah, that's
so
well
that
played.
They're not so far behind.
Definitely well played, getting that opening, saying, you know, you can't kill bottom outer. I don't care where you are.
All right, let's see if Bjergsen is going to be able to dodge this, because they brought everybody to the mid lane here for Cloud9. Shen can arrive with Stand United.
Sven looks durable enough. Hauntzer gets over the wall against Jensen. No other catch to be had. Everyone jumps away.
That's right, his E was already cast, so he got to follow him through. But Jensen, slippery Fizz, gets into the river, and no confrontation from either team.
All right, still slow and methodical. The gold lead down to 1,700. TSM have closed the gap a little bit from earlier. Next Drake up in 35, and to many's chagrin, it's only a Cloud Drake. I don't know if it really has specific synergies with either team, other than maybe you run away from the gank attempts if someone comes to hit you from the side. But it's certainly no game-ending Mountain Drake style things that are probably pretty useful for C9, who only really have the two marksmen as the ranged champions. Turrets won't fall all that quick.
Okay, I want to prep something here that Cloud9 could go. If you're looking at Jensen, he's got teleport. There's a ward behind WildTurtle right now. So if he decided that they had enough vision to actually go for an assassination, yeah, this pink ward right here is an opportunity. It's not only Shen that has teleport in this game. Remember, Jensen's been using it, to get through lane phase now. That's an opportunity that was there. There wasn't vision deep for Cloud9 on that side of the map, so they weren't sure how many TSM players were there. But that is, one of those things that you do look for to see a mid-game play.
That actually is TSM who controlled the Drake despite having their bot laner top not long ago, and yet they're in complete control of this river in C9, giving up, in my opinion, more than they probably should. They had the gold lead in the clean, unattempted Cloud Drake for TSM. Not even a problem.
Yeah, you gotta wonder a little bit if Cloud9, what they're gonna actually pull the trigger on. If an AD carry up there without the ward is not it. They definitely don't want to have an overdive, like we said though. They still have a decent gold lead. It's gonna be on Hauntzer instead. Shen comes in.
All right, onto the isolated Maokai. Haunt's got no one around him. It's minimum 15 seconds till any TSM shows up.
He's pretty free.
Yeah, I don't see how you get away with this one. He's got flash available. He's trying to get over the wall. Not going to get the chance to. The final bit of damage comes through. Impact with the kill credit. Now Bjergsen. Oh, found out by Contractz. Exhaust be damned. The solo kill for C9's rookie jungler takes out Bjergsen, and he wants more. He's got an appetite for more Danes, and Svenskeren running away.
Exactly. He had Jensen, or he had Sneaky and Smoothie in the mid lane as well, so he could continue right there. Bjergsen goes down to Contractz. They get the turret after the 2 kills. And more picks here for Cloud9. I mean, they increase their gold lead. They increase the map coverage that they have to work with now. Outer turrets going down help these teams that are doing 1-3-1, that are doing this split so much, because it makes TSM have less area to try and farm gold in. Take another look here. We were mentioning, what is the play that they actually pull the trigger on, with their global cross map? And it's the guaranteed for sure. They accounted for the other members of TSM in the mid and top lane. And so you just take that Maokai, who has no escapes, and even though it takes a long time, they grab the kill. Now here's Contractz just solo on Bjergsen, even with the exhaust. Able to get that last Q and auto out. Bjergsen burns down from the red smite.
Beautifully done right there. So now 3,500 gold. Cloud9 in a pretty comfortable position right now. Impact with the control ward to get rid of Hauntzer's vision. It says, remember what happened last time you 1v1'd me? It was a 2v1. It didn't go well for you. Hauntzer forced to play a little bit farther back. Sneaky once again he's sitting in the mid lane. This time he does catch out Bjergsen. Plenty of damage there, forcing the flash out. TSM giving up control of the mid lane. Hauntzer does TP in, though. He finds Smoothie. There's the damage out from Biofrost. They've answered. it back. The red-haired support goes down. And now Sneaky running. Over the wall he goes. And suddenly, everyone's there along with him. No, double kill for Biofrost. Nicely done. TSM makes 3-4.
That's that counter dive we're talking about for TSM. They turn that one around and they're going straight for Baron. Whoa, pressure on Contractz here. Will he be able to get some vision inside? He's just walking around. This is very dangerous position for especially a squishy Kha'Zix. All by himself here. The rest of C9 are coming up the river.
TSM have enough health. Jensen, who's he going to find on this one? They're going to look for Biofrost. They're going to get the fish onto him. Here comes the assassination. One goes down. There's a shutdown. 1,000, 2,000 health left on there. And here comes the attack. And it's going to go to Svenskeren amidst the rend and the spikes coming through. Another kill comes through actually for Jensen. Takes out WildTurtle. Contractz in the mix. A shutdown in for the Maokai, but it's already been a double kill in for Jensen's mid laner here. Hauntzer now stuck in a bit of a bad situation. 2v2 overall. He goes Rek'Sai near him. And it's a triple kill actually coming through. Jensen refuses to go down. 4 members of TSM dead.
And Svenskeren left that fight early because TSM probably made a call to save some Baron buff. They at least want to get something out of that play, and they need 1 Baron buff at least left alive. That being said, Cloud9 cleaning up 4 kills for giving away that Baron means they get top turret plus a lot of pressure on mid and a bunch of extra gold here. Sven gonna cut him off though.
Got in the back line. The quick stun goes back at Biofrost, trading the 1-for-1. Sneaky goes down. One more shot will do it. It's bullet time to take him out. And Smoothie now has to run for dear life. Sven does have flash and chooses not to use it to chase through. 1-for-1.
Whew, pretty action-packed mid-game here. All right, so let's take another look. Now, a lot of times, you'll see TSM, the team on Baron with 5 members, turn around and try and kill the enemy jungler as they approach for this fight steal. But they make the call to stay on the Baron, which is very, very risky because all of your DPS is going into the Baron. Meanwhile, Cloud9 are just picking people off left and right here. Contractz goes in, takes down Biofrost. You know, Jensen and Impact are taking down WildTurtle inside the pits. But because they have the Kalista Ren timed with that smite, that was actually very good layering for TSM. They end up getting the Baron kill at the cost of a bunch of members of the team, though. And Cloud9 did get quite a few kills and a bunch of gold out of that.
Yeah, Baron for -3 kills in the overall fight is maybe not the best trade you really would have hoped for, but now the pressure is on for mid lane outer turret. Of course, Sven holding that Baron buff makes the minion wave tanky, and that will be 2 to 3 in turrets.
Yep, TSM catching right back up and
go. Oh, Smoothie, the knock is goodbye.
Talk about catches. That was a Svenskeren stun, or a Bjergsen stun. Bjergsen stun by the way, with Syndra. So he caught Smoothie there just with the edge of it. Deceptive long range on those Syndra balls. But that is going to mean this Baron empowered push does continue for TSM. So you talk about comparing those two. Yes, if it ends at just those kills for Baron. Oh, here we go.
It's Biofrost. Brother does have ulti, pulls him right in. Jensen assassinates absolutely nothing as he gets pulled into the ether. Now the re-engage. Biofrost still up, but why are they focused firing the Zyra? Contractz goes down for the over-aggression. Now Impact locked up. Gonna get dropped as well. The Rend means a double kill for WildTurtle, and another turret falls.
This Cloud9 comp is not a team fighting comp. What are you doing? You're down a member and trying to team fight a better team fight, front to back. Remember, this Maokai and this Rek'Sai on the front line, so hard to get through. Bjergsen also had a good interrupt there on the Kha'Zix, so Contractz couldn't even get to the back line. And as you said, TSM, better team fight, better 5-on-5, brute force right up the mid lane. They're also going to collect this dragon, and look at that, game tied back up.
And I want to check it on WildTurtle right now, 3-2-2. Look at the replay first.
All right, here we go. The arrow and the fish were both aimed at Turtle, but Hauntzer takes the fish, and Bio got the arrow, so he was Kalista ultimate out. 2 initiation tools were negated right there. The Contractz, as I said, he got interrupted by Bjergsen, and they got the counter kills. TSM, front to back, moves it right forward.
So WildTurtle, 3-2-2 is actually a really good scoreline, I would say. That's pretty solid for a team that's still down in kills. It's a nice KDA. Also, weirdly, Essence Reaver Hurricane, not a build I ever would have expected to see. Now that Rend resets on kill anyway, and I believe, I forget if that change went through or not, Spears still stack when it's on cooldown, which means like, WildTurtle doesn't really need CDR or mana regen that badly.
It's definitely an oddball thing. It definitely snuck up on me as well. I'm not used to seeing it either, and it's just kind of mirrored the Ashe. Now, what it does give you is a lower cooldown for your ultimate.
Sure.
So you get a little bit more utility as AD carries are so utility focused now. I have to say, though, it's not like a long cooldown ultimate anyway.
Yeah.
We'll see, though. It is working out so far.
He's also going Death Stance. That's the only item that builds out of Coalfield's Warhammer and Vamp Scepter. And Death Stance, I actually like. I hadn't thought of myself, but all your Rend damage will heal you, which is half your damage anyway, so you would otherwise only get half value from lifesteal anyway. So I like that sense of it. WildTurtle, a very interesting build. And again, maybe someone else has done this, but I haven't seen it before, and looks really clever.
Well, let's check in as they push in on this mid lane. Looks like they are trying to get another one. Good fish.
Good Zonias. And that's in the game there for Jensen. You can see Sven dueling with Contractz on the wings, the two Void Monsters back and forth. It looks like not a problem for TSM as they get their 5th turret now. Impact just split pushing in the side lane.
Exactly. Cloud9, they need to stick to the composition they drafted. Pull this map apart. Don't go for those, especially 4v5 engages, head on. Splitting it up, they are going to eventually get this turret as we are waiting for Shen to slowly topple the top lane there. And they do even it up a little bit, but again, they still want to make these pickoff plays. This Ashe arrow, into either of the side laners, 16 for Impact and 16 for Jensen. They're still very threatening.
Impact wants in on this one, bit of damage. Here comes Contractz, and there goes WildTurtle flashing away. Can't get out in time, and suddenly Biofrost in front of the team lands a 2-man route into the knockup. Contractz finds more from across the map, downtown. Sneaky helps him get the kill. A double for Contractz as he runs through dear life. Ma pops, he's gonna be okay. Impact still tanking the front side, but Hauntzer finds the flank, does take out Contractz. 2-for-1 so far, C9's lead. Impact still taking the front line, but how far can he really go? Has the flash, jumps the wall. Gromp coming for another bite, and Hauntzer still in the chase, finds the knockback, another stun in for Bjergsen, makes it 2 for 2, and TSM answer equally.
Whoa, very, very interesting call there from Cloud9. Now, if Jensen had teleported right at the beginning of that action, they could have had him there for a 5-on-5 after, but they make the call pretty early on for him to hold his TP, and you have to make that call early on, because if you make that call late and the teleport comes in late, you're already giving over your kills in exchange, and you just lose out on taking this turret. So they committed to this call to keep Jensen out and save his teleport. And, in reward, they do eventually get this turret, but it's at the cost of losing more members, whereas they could have had a numbers advantage. Interesting trade-off there, and they do get a bit more gold. But here's how it all started. It is that side lane play. Impact stayed in the brush, gets the taunt, Contractz goes for the execute, and that arrow, Sneaky has been very, very accurate with his Ashe arrows all game long. This one definitely helped out. Contractz was safe for a while with the Shen ultimate, but Hauntzer, again, diligent here on the Maokai. Does teleport in, does get the counter kill, and then they also chase down Impact.
Yeah, part of the game that was had here, I'm sorry if you said it and I missed it, but Jensen did keep pushing in the bot lane, and during the replay, bot lane Tier 2 is alive. Live right now, bot lane Tier 2 is dead, so that turret was picked up as, you did say that? Okay, you patted me on the shoulder and pointed to yourself. I tune out on you a lot, sorry. We were both right, I guess. But yeah, turret picked up, and it's Cloud9 holding a 900 gold lead, down 1 Cloud Drake.
All right, TSM moving in as 5, trying to get that standard team fight once again, moving into Cloud9 territory. Contractz, though, burning down that red buff, should be able to get, oh!
Sneaky got it.
Sneaky, okay, so even best case scenario there. Gives it over to Sneaky. Red buff for the Ashe.
And he's actually going for a very tank-busting build. You can see Mortal Reminder, his 3rd completed item. No Infinity Edge, no 70% crit here, or 80% is the case maybe, depending on your build on Ashe, but immediately into the Armor Pen, knows he has to fight the Rek'Sai, has to fight the Maokai in all these team fights, which is correct. I think it's optimal damage, but it means still no lifesteal outside of Warlord's Bloodlust.
Woo! Shield's getting broke. Oh, kill the Zyra!
It's gonna die. Yeah, Hunt's not gonna take damage at all, so Impact walks away. Worth noting, Zyra Portal got some changes in 7.1. That is the live patch that we're all playing on at home as well. The range is much reduced, but the damage to turrets is actually a lot higher if it does reach them, and so it's a very good immediate turret pressure tool. Much worse at just controlling a lane in general. And so it's more of an immediate use scenario for Impact, and now it's on cooldown.
All right. Now, again, as we set this up, now, yes, Cloud9, they do have a little bit of a disadvantage in these 5-on-5 fights, like we've been saying. However, that can all go out the window if they get a really good initiation, right? If you get a good angle with Assassins, it only takes a couple seconds to switch up the numbers, right? If you get an assassination, take someone out at the beginning of that team fight, then it completely flips the script there. So vision control is how you eliminate that from TSM. So TSM trying, that's why they're spending all this time warding around the mid lane. So you see all these wards just explode over all of the objectives that they're going for. They don't want Cloud9 to sneak into the Fog of War and catch them by surprise.
Look at TSM, we're able to play with the Fog of War. You got the nice spasming Kalista Sentinel. Haven't seen that in a while, but you can have it dance in front of Drake as long as you want it to. And Sven gonna get the easy take. It's not as fast or as glamorous as a Kha'Zix kill, but speaking of, it's the Baron attempt right now.
Yeah. Now, what goes along with having a split pushy team here for Cloud9 is there's no one to tank that Baron because Impact is bottom lane, pushing that lane. So any sort of Baron attempt like that, you either have to immediately kill it or immediately pull off of it when the other team finds you there because they cannot get trapped inside that Baron pit. It will be a massacre.
Definitely agree. Jensen able to take down the Sentinel and not even take damage from Baron. Sven tried to do something about it, couldn't make it happen. We just have that holding pattern once again of mismatched team compositions playing different ways in the game, and the mage is getting stronger. Void Staff or Riley's, not sure which yet for Biofrost, going to be done in the near future. But Leandri's already in there, means he's plenty threatening.
Yeah, Leandri's is... That was one of my favorite buffs that they actually did in the preseason because they nerfed the Riley's. That nice cost efficiency buff to Leandri's. I get it on, try and get on most AP junglers that you play. It's just very efficient now, adds a lot of pure power, plus still has the tankiness. So, you know, all around more efficient and very, very good pickup for Zyra, who, as we've seen, gets assassinated very quickly, and a tiny bit of health, meaning you live from, you know, an attempted Kha'Zix all-in, could be crucial in getting off another round of spells. Meanwhile, though, again, that vision control that's so important to TSM is costing them bottom lane pressure here. Impact via turret, gonna get it.
Oh, so close. Actually can't quite get it here. These boilings gonna be easy to pick off, and you won't get any more pressure just yet, but that is a scant few hundred HP left on the inhib turret. Impact split pushing is working, and C9 still trying to play that style as much as they can.
Definitely still want to play to their advantages here. Meanwhile, TSM, they've got double Guardian Angel. So not only do they have a great front line, but they've got 2 lives, and Svenskeren and Hauntzer can dive without regard for their own lives right here. They can go full on, track the assassins, and try and keep them off of Bjergsen and Turtle. So Cloud9 definitely don't want to have to go through, you know, 7 people basically. And they're gonna look to assassinate the split pusher once again as Jensen moves bottom.
They got for themselves and knock up on a Hauntzer, plenty of damage there, but it is a Guardian Angel Maokai. I have to kill him twice. You can see how much he heals at any given time. And the attempt now is on to Baron. Bjergsen and Turtle dropped below half HP, and this Baron is not dying fast. Biofrost getting away with a sliver of health. That's Leander's helping a little bit for you. Burning down, but still. Damage coming through for Sneaky, forcing the flash to the Svenskeren, and it still stops the Baron. Meanwhile, the base is being sieged. So, yeah, minus a kill kind of sucks. And in fact, another one comes through. No, that's the Zyra call out. Biofrost did actually finally die. Looks like Smoothie was able to get into that one. So it's a 1-for-1 in kills. And now here comes the re-engage. Shen ult onto Sneaky. The chase at a Turtle, forcing the flash away. Bjergsen is low. And actually looks like the ulti was canceled anyway by Rek'Sai and Maokai, so he's not part of that fight after all. And Impact slowly running away. This 2-on-2 is one that Jensen does not want to be a part of.
Oh, good interrupt. Taunt there from Impact, slowed down. Better fish.
Yeah, nicely done, but still, they're trying to wear him down. It's 2 tanks versus 1. And if there's a satchel plant, he's just gone. Even still, he's gone. All right.
Well, no inhibitor was taken, but they did crack open the base. So this split push from Impact has been taking its toll. And the extra kills there over to Cloud9, I'm not too worried about that, as people are really starting to fill out anyways here. Let's take a look at how it happened, though, as it was a lot of zoning from the Ashe arrow hitting right into another Smoothie ultimate. That bullet time hit all 4 members at the beginning, and did a good job of splitting off TSM into the backside. Here's where it went wrong for Cloud9, as Contractz just barely not able to assassinate Biofrost through the exhaust, and then Sneaky and Smoothie are able to chase them off. Again, though, right back at the scene of the crime.
Arrow hits Biofrost. Guess what? WildTurtle can ult if he needs to. Not going to happen just yet. Contractz hitting the wings. Hauntzer to lock him up. 6,000 HP on Baron, and the Ren stacks drop. So it's the re-engage. Double stun! Contractz! Oh, the catch by the Q for the Maokai, but look at the bullet time! Smoothie just eviscerates the back line. Gets a double kill on the entire lane. And now there's a bit more to be done. Svenskeren low on HP with 5 members of C9 here to take that kill, and he gets into the portal, does jump into the Baron pit, still running out of HP as Hauntzer dies after Guardian Angel. 5 versus 2 on the map, and the health bars total about 300 HP. So TSM have nothing to do right now as C9 start the Baron.
What an amazing flank there from Smoothie. Completely annihilates the backline of TSM with that bullet time. And that means that Svenskeren's going to have to sneak around here if he wants to try and steal Baron. Not going to happen. And he's going to lose GA, and he's going to die after.
And Contractz secures the Baron. It was a formality at that point, but that makes it 4 unanswered kills now, plus the Baron picked up, and C9 find the team fight to give a gigantic lead.
What a great move there from Cloud9. Let's look at this, because they make the call to turn on the Maokai teleport. This Maokai is isolated. Yes, he takes a long time to get through, but them all focusing Hauntzer makes TSM come out of the Baron pit, walk all the way around. Turtle and Biofrost are already at half before that ultimate from Smoothie, so they immediately have to go out. Both of them go down to it, and then that's half of TSM's squad. Then it's just clean up here for Cloud9. They're able to section off the tanks, and even though they both have Guardian Angel, there's no damage behind them. TSM's team fight falls apart.
And yeah, Bjergsen as well was pushed out of the fight, took a lot of the bullet time as well, and just gone. And nicely played by C9, and Smoothie gets the MVP of that fight right there. He's the second highest kills in his team. See, the internet makes fun of Marksman in 2017, you just play him the wrong role. Right? Sneak is 0-2-4. He's to support this game. Smoothie is the true carry here.
Yeah, Phreak.
Just saying, the team with 2 marksmen is winning. What now, internet?
Can't argue with that, Matt. Well played. All right, let's see about this Dragon, though, because Cloud9, they're continuing with the split strategy. They just have Jensen on top side now with Baron buff. He'll quickly melt through the turret and the inhibitor, so the timing on TSM shot calling is definitely pressured here. They have to just recall, defend the turret. They're going to give up this Dragon, it looks like, unless they decide to pull Kalista over. Kalista's actually halfway walking over here, so maybe they don't give it up.
Sven does not have flash to get out of the pit. It's a one-way trip as he goes for the steal. Don't know if he really wants to pull that right now. Still waiting around the wings. The flash, about 10 seconds away. If they take too long, he's got the exit trip.
He's either solo dying for it, or he's going to try and Prey Seeker steal it. I would
back up.
I would just Prey Seeker.
Have to die anymore.
Steal it. Yeah.
He's not going to get the chance, but there's going to be a knock-up anyway here. Impact gets the taunt. It doesn't really matter. Either way, Elder Dragon with 2 stacks total up to C9.
Yeah. Going for a super low steal like that, especially this late in the game, where not only are you fighting the other person's smite, but the damage on all of the enemy champions is so high, it's even hard for their jungler to actually land that fight. So TSM, they make the call to just try and defend as 5. This buffed up Elder Dragon buff is going to last longer as well here for Cloud9. So
2.5 minutes now.
Baron buff as well as Elder Dragon, and this outer turret should definitely be seeded for TSM and try and fight themselves try and fight C9 inside the base.
There we go. Not a lot of easy pressure onto Bjergsen right now. He's scary enough, but Impact feels a little bit confident. Mid lane tier 2 goes down. Cloud9 continuing to put the pressure on. 8 turrets to 5. Elder Dragon and Baron buff still on for a little while longer. They are good at sieging right now. This turret down to 2/3.
Contractz does get stunned. That's going to be an inhibitor going down there for Cloud9. Bullet time!
Sonya's out of Bjergsen. Still gets caught by the shark! And that's the first shutdown. Contractz gets in. Wants a bit more. WildTurtle running for dear life. Actually, a kill comes through, but another trade in. That's 3 for 1 so far. Cloud9 in complete control. WildTurtle and Svenskeren have to somehow stand against the 4-man army of Cloud9. 2 inhibitors already down. Into the bot lane they go. Drop portal to help. And they've got to pull off a minor miracle here. Now comes the attempt for the first turret. That's going to get dropped down. There goes Svenskeren to the front line with a turret at a sliver of HP, but that's the kill coming through anyway for Sneaky. His first second of the game, I should say, as WildTurtle is running and running and running and not doing enough damage. So the Nexus is next to fall, and Cloud9 are going to take the first game win of the 2017 North American LCS season. But of course, we play best of 3s. There's still a chance to fire back.
Exactly. This series is not over. By no means here is TSM done. We get to see another game at least here in this best of 3. And man, that was an extremely exciting way to start out the North American LCS. We may have underestimated the team fighting of Misfortune here later in the game, because that was a really good, fight turning ultimate from Smoothie on that Baron attempt from TSM. Another interesting stat here as we go over post game. Sneaky had the most damage done to champions that game, and WildTurtle had the least of all 10 players, less than both supports.
Oh, wow, that is rough if that was the case. Then we got the number in midway through the game when Sneaky was #1. I wasn't able to pull up the stats of the post-game myself, but certainly a very interesting game to watch. A lot of cool things happened. You saw C9 look really good in the bot lane. They had a cumulative like 400 gold lead by the early laning phase.
On cooldown, double
Arrows.
ultimate. They got a summoner out every time that they pulled that off. You know, and the only way around that is dodging that arrow.
Yeah.
And it's difficult, right? You have to have a minion there to throw out your auto, and you have to be ready to hop, you know, to the side. Super, super, super difficult. And yeah, Cloud9 bottom lane definitely took its toll, eventually resulting in a first blood for the jungler.
Yeah, you're right. Contractz came through. Thankfully for Smoothie, he got the assist by doing damage in the last 15, so he got to feel good about the 200 gold surge in his own pockets. But either way, it was a super close game. TSM definitely had a chance to win it, but it was C9 making it happen in the end. But now, from our On That Win, let's hand it over to Dash and Azael.